Good morning everybody and welcome to Silverstone for live coverage of the ProTyre Motorsport Ginetta GT5 Challenge and the Ginetta GT4 Cup. We've got a packed grid of Ginetta G40s out on the grid now, ready to tackle the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for 25 minutes of hot and hard-fought action. The racing in this championship is always incredibly exciting. The cars allow for lots of close racing. The drivers are all up-and-coming sports car and GT aces. If you want to see the future of GT racing, then it's quite likely that it will be right here in front of you with the GT5 Challenge. The cars are lining up on the grid and it will be a very interesting race, this one, I think, because with the slipstreaming opportunities available to the drivers around a circuit like the Grand Prix circuit here at Silverstone, we'll see overtaking around the entire lap, I'm sure, and it's all going to be about trying to make the break at the head of the field. There is Shane Stoney. He is on pole sitter in the GT5 Challenge. The G40 cars, G40 Cup cars, are lined up at the tail end of the GT5 Challenge class. Shane Stoney on the pole position, and alongside him James Kellett, one of his big championship rivals. They've both been front runners all season long in the Ginetta GT5 Challenge, and it's no surprise therefore to see them both up there on the front row of the grid for this one as well. There is James Kellett, second on the grid in the Century Motorsport run car. Car 13, not that unlucky for him, it must be said, because he's been competitive all the way throughout the season so far, and he will be looking to try and get himself onto that top step of the podium, if at all possible, here this weekend. They have two races today. They didn't race yesterday, so this will be their first time out on circuit, and it's a side-by-side grid as well, so it will be a particularly congested run down towards that first corner. A mammoth grid. We've got 33 GT5 Challenge cars, and then add into that about another 18 or 19 G40 Cup cars as well. So it is really, really busy out there on circuit in this race. We'll have the two different classes to try and keep you abreast of what's going on, and we'll check in with those G40 cars, I'm sure, as we go through. The cars are identical, it's just they run to slightly different configurations, and of course the GT5 Challenge, a slightly higher profile championship that supports British GT for most of its rounds, and a couple of the rounds it spends on the British Touring Car Championship package, actually, just to give the drivers a little bit extra exposure. And it is a great place to be if you want to make your way forward in the world of GT racing. Right, let's crack on with the grid. It'll take a while to get through this, I'd imagine. Shane Stoney and James Kellett make up the front row, ahead of Brett Ward and Richard Evans on row number 2. Alex Toth-Jones and Matt Rainbow are on the third row, ahead of Conor O'Brien and Conor Grady on row 4. Charlie Digby is on the fifth row of the grid, ex-Ginetta Junior racer, as well as Scott McKenna, another ex-Ginetta Junior racer, in 10th on the grid, two HHC Motorsport teammates. Then it's Jerry Nicosia and Will Dardle, Morgan Quinn and Max Bird, then Gordon Much and Ashley Marshall on the 8th row of the grid, row 9 for Josh Hislop and Matt Palmer, and row 10 for Matt Maxted and Sebastian Arenram in the number 83 Reflex racing car. Halstead is next, ahead of Gus Bowers, then Katie Milner, she should be moving forward, ahead of Carlito Moracco in 24th. Then it's Sami Saralainen and Adrian Campbell-Smith, ahead of Matt Conchas, James Townsend, Phil McGarty, and Tom Mallet. Still a few more to go in this mammoth GT5 Challenge grid. Charlie Martin is next up, ahead of Dale Albert and Peter Digby. Then we have the G40 Cup runners, so Tom Sibley it is who has the pole position in that class, ahead of Robert Keogh, Jack Oliphant, Tom Golding and Dmitry Sedashev round out the top 5 in the G40 Cup. Paul Oliphant is next, ahead of Alistair Barkley, 40th on the grid outright. Then it's Sean Fleming and Karim Sekat, Graham Bishop and Andres Sinclair, ahead of Mike West and Jimmy Thompson. Ben Lowe and Gary Wager are next up, and rounding out the top 50, yes, the top 50, we have Jamie Hopkins and Paul Garstang, the Assetto Motorsport driver from Preston. Still some more behind them as well. It's a really enormous grid. Guy Redwood, Bill Forbes, Ron Lynn, all running towards the tail end of the grid. The cars are making their way around now towards the grid to start this race. And who will come out on top? You'd expect it to be very close indeed. The qualifying times yesterday were pretty close. Pole position for Shane Stoney, 2:24.5. GT5. He was about 6/10 quicker than James Kellett, but that I don't think is representative really of the sort of pace we can expect to see from them. I think we'll see things an awful lot closer as we go racing, because with the effect of the slipstream, these cars are not the quickest thing in a straight line, of course, so they do punch quite a big hole in the air. You can stay fairly closely bunched together, and that will almost guarantee lots of side-by-side action, and I don't think we'll see one driver dominate from lights to flag, as Shane Stoney was able to do back at the start of the season at Alton Park, where he was able to take double race victory and kick-started his championship campaign in just the right way. And it was a dominant performance in very challenging conditions at Alton Park. Here at Silverstone, thankfully for the time being, the conditions are looking rather more favourable than they did back at a very soggy Alton Park at the start of the year. They had a bit of a damp race at Rockingham last time out as well, I seem to remember. And so, yeah, it's a much more pleasant sight that, albeit an overcast Silverstone makes, but at least overcast conditions mean low ambient temperatures, low track temperatures, so tyre wear shouldn't be too much of an issue. And it's conducive to really quick lap times as well, because of course the lower the air temperature is, the more efficient the engines run, and so we could well see lap times really starting to tumble as we get through this race. So we are about ready, I believe, to get going. Back a few rows of the G40 Cup are almost in place. At the front of the grid it is James Kellett on the inside, Shane Stoney on pole position on the outside, because the outside is the racing line, so therefore there's a bit more rubber down there. That means that there is a bit more grip in theory for the pole sitter on the outside of row number 1. There is our pole sitter Shane Stoney looking for the lights as the revs start to rise ahead of race number 1 of the weekend for the Pro-Time Motorsport Ginetta GT5 Challenge and Ginetta G40 Cup. Away we go, and it looked like a fairly evenly matched start from both of our front row men. Inside line for Kellett, outside line for Stoney, and it's Stoney who converts pole into the lead into turn number 1. Richard Evans comes through into 3rd place, side by side there between Conor O'Brien in the 22 and Matt Rainbow in the number 55 on the inside line. And they are all what, 50 odd of them safely through Cobb's Corner for the first time. Side by side for 3rd place there though. That was Richard Evans, I think, continuing to make his march towards the front, trying to get on the inside of the 2nd place man James Kellett there. Couldn't quite do it as they went through back to back into the G40 Cup cars with a delayed start. Now get underway. Pole position in that class, remember, went to Tom Sibley ahead of Robert Keogh, and we'll check in at the end of the opening lap to see who gets to the line first. Slipstream City now there as they go down towards Stowe Corner for the first time. Kellett having to defend that 2nd position from a feisty looking Richard Evans. There's Sebastian Arenram in the blue and yellow car, and already unfortunately there's a car in the gravel trap. It's one of our G40 Cup cars, or a GT5 Challenge car, I wonder. Marshall's in attendance, we might be able to get a replay. Whoops, and there it goes. 53, did that say, possibly, was the culprit. That would be Matt Conscious, in which case, yes, that is one of our GT5 Challenge cars. Into the gravel trap and out of the race. 3 abreast there through Club Corner. That is brave stuff indeed, but the leaders starting to try and build a little bit of a gap now, actually, at the head of the field. Down into the right-hander at Abbey Corner, and into one of the best overtaking opportunities now on the circuit, into this right-hander at Village. James Kellett, let's not forget, leads the championship coming into this weekend by a decent amount actually as well, over Jerry Nicosia in 2nd. 219 points for Kellett, 170 for Jerry Nicosia, so 49 points clear at the head of the table, with Shane Stoney a further point back in 3rd. There's the number 50 car going through. That's Katie Milner, started down in 23rd, Katie, but I think she's gained a bit of ground from there already. Side by side for the race lead, and James Kellett goes for it at the inside of Shane Stoney. This is our first lead change potentially. They almost lean on each other a bit coming out of the corner, but yes, he will go through. So the Century Motorsport car takes the race lead. Shane Stoney demoted down to 2nd place. Now what can he do about that? Can he find a way back through? He'll certainly be keen to try and make it stick if he can. Back across the start-finish line they go. The top three definitely breaking away now then. So it's Kellett from Stoney from Evans, your top three. Alex Toth-Jones is fourth. Conor O'Brien is fifth. Conor Grady is sixth. And seventh position for car number 46, which is Brett Ward. He started third and didn't really get a great start. Charlie Digby is eighth. Jerry Nicosia ninth. And Matt Rainbow in 10th position at the end of the opening lap. Leaders rattle across the curbs down at Maggott and Beckett's, flames spitting from the rear of the cars as they are off the throttle there, and a bit of unburnt fuel just spills out. And back out onto the hanger straight. Now, can Kellett make a break from the two cars behind? That now becomes the question. If he can, then great. He's hit the front at just the right time, and he should be able to build up a nice little advantage ahead of everybody else. If he can't, he's going to be a sitting duck down the straights, and that appears to be the case because Shane Stoney is all over him as they go down into the braking zone at Stoke Corner. He's going to go right round the outside if he can. Now, this is risky stuff, but if he can make it stick, he'll have the inside line for the next braking zone down at Vale, and I think that's what he's done. Or has Kellett been able to eke out another advantage down the next straight? Yes, he has. Double wave yellows down at Club as well, by the looks of it. So do we have a car in the gravel trap down here? Can't see anything at Vale. There's a car that's stopped, or spun by the looks of it, on the exit of Vale and couldn't get that going against. Marshals are busy moving that out of the way, and we'll try and pick out who that might be in a moment or two, but it will be someone that's dropped right down to the bottom end of the timing screen. Leaders back through Abbey, and Shane Stoney still doing his best here to try and get this lead back, and he's up the inside in towards Village, and he might just have done it, has he? Yes, all side by side, and the inside line for the next corner, of course, is in the favour of Stoney, and he should now finally be able to make this move stick, or maybe not, because actually they're still side by side, and the third place man, Richard Evans, is doing everything he can to join in the fun as well. He carries more speed than the pair of them through Aintree and onto the Wellington straight, tucked back into the toe, but there's a big gap, very big inviting gap up the inside there for him to maybe try and slip through. Can't quite go for it, so Stoney and Kellett run side by side, and Stoney is back through. So take that, James. You may have got the lead from me at the end of the previous lap, but flash forward a lap later, and Shane Stoney is back in front again. Look at all of the jostling going on behind there. This is really, really good racing. Alex Toth-Jones one there trying to, well, he's actually been slipping down the order. He's now down into 6th position, having been 4th at the end of the opening lap. Leading two, though, actually started to pull away. It surprises me. Richard Evans didn't have a great run there through Brooklands and Luffield, so he's just dropped back from the leading two. There's Jerry Nicosia going up the inside of the number 46 machine in towards Cobbs. That's Brett Ward, who slips down a further position, but leading two with just under 20 minutes still to go in this 25-minute race. Turn their way down into the Maggots and Beckett's complex. Back on towards the hanger straight for the third time of asking. Out towards the fastest part of the circuit now. And it is time to start defending again, potentially for Shane Stoney, as he holds the middle ground. Here comes Richard Evans, though. He's closed back in, and Kellett is really late on the brakes. Can he slip up the inside? No way through just there. Did Stoney run a bit wide, though, as a result of trying to react to that? I think he might have done. Not enough to open the door, but enough just to compromise his exit speed. Now we've got two cars under investigation, cars 53 and 11. Now, who are they? 53 is Matt Conscious and 11 is James Townsend. They started together on the 14th row of the grid, and of course Matt ended up in the gravel trap down at Beckett, so I wonder whether they are linked in any way. It's being reviewed after the race, that incident, though, so we won't hear anything about that until race 2 later on. Stoney, Kellett and Evans still the top three, still tied together by a very short piece of string as they make their way back through Village. And you'd think if these three keep tripping over each other, and indeed this does seem to be happening, the cars behind will start getting ever closer. That is 22, Conor O'Brien, who was 4th, and having a look at the inside there of Evans for 3rd as they went through the left-hander, and there's been more contact between the two of them, so a bit of grey paint gets put onto the side of the white Quattro Motorsport car, but it might have just opened the door actually for Conor O'Brien to get him the inside down towards Brooklands. Can he make this move stick now, though, and then maybe go after the leading two? Onto the brakes they go, noses dip at more or less the same time, and Conor Grady also joins in and goes up the inside of Evans as well, who really does seem to be struggling on the brakes down at that part of the circuit. He lost a bit of ground there a lap ago, remember, to the leaders, and now he's lost 2 places, so Richard Evans, unfortunately, starting to slip down the order ever so slightly. This is, though, I think I'm right in saying, Richard's first round of the season, so you can forgive him maybe for not being quite as race ready as some of those who have been around from the start of the year. The season, of course, started at Alton Park, then made the trip to Rockingham, then Thruxton as well, of course, on the BTCC package as well, in front of a packed crowd. Always great exposure for these youngsters to get themselves on a big race package like British Touring Cars, like British GT, where they can really show the world exactly what they can do. More importantly, show all of the big team bosses what they can do. Back onto the back straight, got a glimpse of Alex Toth-Jones there, the number 2 car going through. And onto the hangar straight. The top 5 just seem to be pulling a bit of a gap now over the rest of the field. So that's Stoney, Kellett, O'Brien, Grady and Evans, with a bit of a gap back then to Alex Toth-Jones, who was 6th at the start of the lap. Side-by-side battles though all the way down through the order. There's Carlito Morocco going through. And we look back towards some of the G40 Cup cars potentially, which should be coming into sight fairly shortly. Back through the right-hander at Stoke, car number 71 going through there, the picture there, 71 being Charlie Martin, lady racer, who had a bit of an off at Thruxton last time out, but Charlie picks her way through, bringing the Pride flag to celebrate Pride Month on the front of her car. Several of the cars here this weekend are getting behind Pride Month this year, which is great to see, really great initiative to have in the motorsport community certainly. Charlie Martin, one of the drivers who was really getting behind that and sort of telling everyone else to put stickers on their cars too, which I'm glad to say the majority of them have indeed done. So back down the hang straight, well, one stray car there, which I wonder whether that was maybe one of the G40 Cup cars that we saw have a spin on the opening lap. Just checking into the G40s, it is car number 19 that is leading the way in that particular group, car number 19 being Tom Golding, who leads the G40 Cup element of the race. We've been focusing, though, quite rightly on the excellent battling going on in front of the field, and it's really closing up now. Alex Toth-Jones there, in behind Charlie Digby, car number 31. So this is for 6th position. So Toth-Jones was 6th at the start of the lap. Digby found a way back through. And now Alex wants to try and find a way back ahead. You may remember the last round of the championship that were live streamed at Rockingham. We saw it was Alex Toth-Jones and James Kellett who were debating the race victories all weekend long, and whilst James Kellett is up there fighting for victories again this weekend, that doesn't really seem to be the case for Alex Toth-Jones. James Kellett's 2nd place at the moment in this one, the top 3 just pulling out that bit of a gap over the rest of the field. More bad news for Alex Toth-Jones, car number 2. He's just been given the black and white warning flag for exceeding the track limit. Now that's not a time penalty as of yet, but if he keeps doing it, then he will have 5 seconds added onto his race time. So there is the order down at the bottom of the screen. Then Stoney leading the way from Kellett and O'Brien, then Evans, Grady, and then that gap back to this Digby and Alex Toth-Jones battle. And then behind them, there's more battle going on. Jerry Nicosia up the inside there of the number 27 car of Scott McKenna. Those two have both graduated from the Ginetta Junior Championship into the GT5 Challenge for this year. And they will run side by side again down towards Vale. Behind them, they're also side by side, and that can't work. All 4 of these cars trying to get into the corner at the same time. It's number 46, Scott Ward, who gets his way into the corner at the head of the group. Nicosia and McKenna are still side by side, and this time it's Nicosia on the outside line going out of Club Corner. The black and orange car with the white, yellow and blue of McKenna at the inside, and carrying all the speed in the world out of the corner there. The number 46 car of Brett Ward that we just saw making the move at the previous turn. Leading to, though, still in the same order then, Stoney ahead of Kellett, and are they just starting to get away now slightly from Conor O'Brien? I'd suggest that they are, yes, because Conor in fact has got Richard Evans coming back at him. So Richard has got himself back into 4th place, in fact now back into 3rd place, because he does get past both Conor Grady and Conor O'Brien in the space of a couple of corners. So the white car of Richard Evans been up and down the order, but as he starts to walk to his task now, he is starting to pick his way up the order. He set the fastest lap of the race as well, at 2:25.104. Oh, that's a spin though, unfortunately, for Josh Hislop in the 23 machine down at the village complex. He rejoins. Don't know whether that was self-inflicted or whether he had some outside assistance. Side by side again here towards the front of the field. That is Conor O'Brien back up the inside now of Richard Evans, and they almost trade some pace as they come across the start-finish line. They come across the line separated by just 42 1,000ths of a second in O'Brien's favour. O'Brien had the inside line into Cops corner as well, and Conor Grady followed him through. So third and fourth back now for the two Connors, whilst Richard Evans has it all to do again now from fifth position. Charlie Digby still sixth, Alex Toff Jones still seventh, Scott McKenna eighth, Sam Bird ninth, and Will Diamond is in 10th position. So they make their way now back towards the Hanger Straight part of the circuit. There, Alex Toff Jones will be looking to try and find a way past Charlie Digby, but then he's not really been able to do that thus far, has he? Side by side, are we for the race lead? Stoney on the inside, Kellett on the outside, and this could be an opportunity maybe for James Kellett to not necessarily go right around the outside of Stone, but just try and goad Shane Stoney into braking a bit later than he needs to, maybe run out a bit wide and possibly open the door down towards Vale. That didn't happen though, and so the X-Mini Challenge racer keeps himself in the race lead, but they're definitely pulling away from the third place squabble going on behind, aren't they? So these two very close together, but then there is, well, at the line, a second and a half back to Conor O'Brien in third. Grady fourth, Richard Evans there, the 168 car on screen is fifth position. They've been caught now by Digby and Toff Jones. So this is now more or less a five-way scrap for the bottom step of the podium into the very quick right-hander at Abbey. I can tell you the GT4 Cup still being led by Golding from Keogh in second position, and then one of the Oliphants, the number 98 car, running in third. That's Jack Oliphant, who is third in the G40 Cup. Leaders then turn their way back towards the end of their sixth lap of the race. We've still got just under 11 minutes to go. So I don't think James Kellett in second place won't be panicking too much as of yet. He's had a go at leading, wasn't able to hold on to it, but he's still got time yet to try and get the lead back. He just did the outright fastest middle sector of the lap as we're side by side for fourth place here, with Richard Evans trying to go around the outside of Conor Grady there. But nothing doing as they went into the corner, I don't think. Let's check back in. Yes, Grady, the orange car still in front. Then it is the leaders back across the line. Shane Stoney from Kellett, nose to tail here, never been more than a couple of tenths between them. You do sense that maybe Kellett is just waiting for his moment now. It's 5 for 4th. There's no waiting around here though, because Richard Evans really wants to get back past Conor Grady. Has to be careful though, because if he starts ducking and diving around too much, he may well open up the door for Charlie Digby to come through, and of course Toff Jones not far behind him, so there is the potential for a few more changes of position here. Through Maggotts and Beckett's complex, this very, very high-speed sequence of corners that the drivers all really enjoy, because you're absolutely on the limit through there. Stoney and Kellett though, Digby there with the wheel out on the grass further back. Sorry, Grady, excuse me. Has that hurt his momentum onto the straight? He's certainly dropping back from Conor O'Brien, isn't he? Now, Conor O'Brien's previous lap was on a par with the leaders. In fact, he was the fastest man on track this time, the third place man, so he's closing that gap to the leaders slightly. Pulling away from this fight for fourth, and Conor Grady in fourth place, runs out very wide at Stowe Corner, opens the door up on the inside line there, so Richard Evans will try to come back through, and on the inside of the pair was Charlie Digby. Oh, what a move that was from Digby. Oh, and that's a shame. Richard Evans contacted Alex Toff Jones. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but that they both continued. Toff Jones has lost a headlight, but I fear that there's rear suspension damage done to the 68 car Richard Evans. Also off the track, and not particularly pleased, is the number 93 car of Andres Sinclair. Oh, and well, yes, there's that damaged rear suspension that I mentioned for Richard Evans. He got to the next corner, which was Abbey, sorry, the extra club event car is gone, hasn't it? So as he's come out of the club, it's suddenly broken, and straight into the barriers he's gone. So we did think there was some rear suspension damage. That proves the point. He's out of the car already though, and so he appears to be okay. Now here's a replay. So Digby goes from the inside of Grady and Evans. They both dive out of the way. Toff Jones tries to take advantage, and Evans did not know he was there. And Richard Evans just no idea that Toff Jones was up the inside of him, I don't think. Toff Jones, touchwood, seems to have got away without too much damage. Evans then continues. You can see the car crabbing though. I'm surprised that he kept going at such a speed, because as he comes out of the corner, something presumably just breaks, and off he goes at fairly high speed into the tyre wall, and car already damaged at the rear, and now there's some front end damage for the Quattro Motorsport team to get fixed before race 2 later on. Right, we're into the final third of the race now, 7 3/4 minutes still remaining, and it is still Stoney from Kellett at the front. Is O'Brien continuing to make progress towards them? Yes, he is. He was once more fractionally quicker than the leading two that time. You can see the gap that he's got to close. 2.8 seconds is the gap between second and third, so he's not going to have an easy time, but he would really rather see these two start squabbling a bit more for the race lead. But I do get the sense that they're both quite content to just follow each other around for the time being. If it gets to it on the last lap and there's a chance for Kellett to go through, obviously he will go for it, but as the championship leader, he doesn't really want to be taking too many risks, especially considering that his nearest championship rivals are not having brilliant days. Jerry Nicosia, out of our sight, has dropped all the way down to 12th place from somewhere. He was well inside the top 10 earlier on. Of course, Stoney is third in the points, but he's some 450 points behind James Kellett, so he can sort of afford to let Stoney have this one, but he won't want to. He'll want to win it if at all possible. Back down into Vale, and just less than a tenth and a half separating them as they started this lap. It's not much more than that now as they come to the second apex at Club Corner. No sign of yellow flags for Richard Evans' car that's off at the side of the road, so clearly the marshals are happy that that car is well out of danger. Yellow flags though down at Village now, so who's gone off up here? We presumably, this may well be that Andres Sinclair car. I think this is where he'd been off, potentially. You might see just to the left of the screen here, yes, there is Andres' car being pushed out of the way by four very brave marshals. The British marshals here at Silverstone, again, doing an amazing job as ever they do to keep things ticking over with minimal interruption from safety cars and whatnot. If they can clear a car under yellow flags rather than pausing the whole race by throwing a safety car, then they will do. James Kellett with a little look at the inside there into Brooklands, and you can see there, just by having that little peek up the inside, it forces the race leading car of Shane Stoney just to go in a little bit deeper on the brakes than he'd like to. It forces him to go in on a tighter line than he'd like to as well, and that just creates the possibility that maybe he would run a bit wide on the exit of the corner. That's the plan anyway for James Kellett. Wasn't really close enough to attack there, but he's definitely close enough to attack down towards Copse Corner, and Stoney knew it, moved over to cover as soon as he could. And as they go back out of Copse down towards Beckett's again, the next opportunity for Kellett to attack will be down the hang straight. But it does look as though Kellett is getting a bit racier now as we move into the final 5 minutes of this race. 20 minutes down, 5 minutes still to go, and he's seeing that this is his big chance to really find a way through into the race lead. Of course, once he gets to the race lead, he's then got to hold on to it, because we've been here before. Spinners further back, number 71 is Charlie Martin, unfortunately, who we were talking about earlier on. She's had a spin. There was another car involved there, and I didn't quite pick out who that might have been. The leaders, though, side by side down the hanger straight, and Kellett looks to the outside line. He was fractionally quicker than Stoney last time around, but the only way really that he's going to go any quicker than Stoney is by carting a way through, but he's all over the red, white and yellow car as it makes its way into Vale. But again, the inside ground is occupied by the race leader. Shane Stoney, having come from the close quarters racing a mini challenge, knows how to defend a position, knows how to defend a lead. Can he hang on to this race lead and hold off James Kellett for the remaining 4 minutes? 2 more laps, I reckon, to go at the end of this one, and Abbey's not really an overtaking opportunity, but a good run through here can set you up for a move potentially down into the next corner at Village. What can he do here? Close enough on the brakes maybe to have a dive up the inside? No is the answer to that one. But again, Stoney a bit ragged under braking, just locks up, runs a bit wide. There's a bit of camber there at that corner, and so that catches you if you're going a bit too deep. He's a bit tight in towards the next left-hander as well, though, and so Stoney definitely looks the least comfortable of these two. The Century Motorsport car of James Kellett working well at this stage of the race. They're about to come across some traffic there, and that is the G40 Cup contingent. And that will be an added complication that neither of these drivers particularly wants. Shane Stoney, particularly the race leader, who locks up again and runs wide at Brooklands. Just about gets it back though to the inside line into Luffield, but he is the one making the mistakes at this stage of the race. James Kellett is not making mistakes. Conor O'Brien in third place has been given a 5-second time penalty incidentally for exceeding the track limits, so that will plunge him down the order towards the back end of the top 10. So Charlie Digby therefore will pick up the third position. Leaders down in towards the right-hander at Cops Corner, more traffic in front. Where will they catch it? It looks as though they're going to catch it at the worst possible part of the circuit, on the run into Maggots and Beckett. Now Stoney goes to the left-hand side. Let's hope the back markers have seen him coming. Whichever gap Stoney opens up, Kellett will try to follow through, which he just manages to do at that part of the circuit. We do indeed have 2 more laps to go though, so they should clear these back markers before the end of this lap, and then hopefully find themselves some clean air in which to dispute the race lead for the remaining part of the race. There's another couple that are running fairly separate from each other just in front, and then a group a little bit closer together in front. I think this is Karim Sekat that's about to go a lap down. There's confirmation of that 5-second penalty for Conor O'Brien. The heaters jockeying around for position in amongst the back markers, and it's a hard job for the back markers to do as well, of course, because they have their own race going on. They don't just want to pull over and stop and let the leaders through, but at the same time they have to be aware, and that's worked out well for Shane Stoney, look, because he manages to get Ron Lynn's car, the 133 car, between himself and James Kellett, and that could have been crucial. There was nothing that Ron could really do there. Even if he'd have pulled out wide at Vale, he'd have been on the inside for the next corner. So he just took the racing line. That's the easiest thing to do, because at least then the car coming through can predict what you're going to do. And there is Ron Lynn, who did as good a job as he could do there to get out of the way, but it did play nicely into the hands of the race leader. Conor O'Brien third on the road, but once the corrected times are applied, this grey and green number 22 car will start slipping down the order, and that's a real shame for him. He was on for a much needed good result. 6th place in the points was Conor, but only a few points behind Max Bird, who will now move ahead of him on corrected times, I think. So Max Bird running in 7th in the number 44 car. Leaders are well and truly in traffic. Oh no, contact right in front of the race leader. My goodness me, that was a heart-stopping moment. 67 and 86, the 2 cars involved. So 86 is Ben Lowe and 67 Graham Bishop, 2 of the G40 Cup contenders, coming together right in front of the 2 race leaders who were about to put them a lap down. And that would have been a very focusing moment for Shane Stoney, but has that now lost him any of the advantage that he gained from the back markers that they caught halfway round the lap? Damage to the both cars, I'd imagine. 86 Ben Lowe on the outside. On the inside was Graham Bishop, who lost the rear of the car, overcorrected it, spat back to the right-hand side, and Shane Stoney and James Kellett nipped through on the inside line, but unfortunately, end of race for Ben Lowe. I don't know whether Graham Bishop might have got away with... Sorry, Bishop, beg pardon, pulled over. Lowe has not, but yes, look at that. It's allowed Kellett to close right back in on Shane Stoney, and we are now on the final lap of the race. So this is the battle for the race victory. Shane Stoney really would like to try and get himself onto the top step of the podium again here. It's been a little while since he last was there. James Kellett, likewise, though, championship leader, needs to think about the points. So how much of a risk is he willing to take? Down the hanger straight we go for the last time. This gap up the inside, maybe, but Stoney is nice and late on the brakes, moves over to Cullen. We've seen Shane a little bit scrappy under braking on a couple of occasions so far in this race. He can't afford the slightest slip-up over the course of this last lap. He's hooking the inside line down towards Vale. Kellett has to go to the outside. He won't go right round the outside there. He'll come back to a late apex, try and carry as much speed through the next corner as he can, maybe nip up the inside for the second apex at Club. There was almost a gap, but not quite, and they came within millimetres of touching rear bumper to front bumper there, but they just about avoided it. More traffic in the way. Jimmy Thompson is one of those cars, and I think 99 might be the other one, Alistair Barkley. He's the first one that they will come up against. And if they catch him in towards the next hairpin, which they will, they presumably will both go up the inside. Oh no, to the outside goes Shane Stoney, to the inside goes James Kellett. There's contact for Shane Stoney, and Kellett finds a way through. Oh, what a shame for Shane Stoney. He went to the wrong side of the back marker and opened the door wide open for Kellett up the inside. There was contact with the back marker, which didn't help either. And let's just hope that hasn't damaged the rear suspension on Shane Stoney's car. So Shane Kellett finds a way through on the final, halfway round the final lap. And is there anything Stoney can do about it? The second of those back markers gets right out of the way, but that was a real shame there. Alistair Barkley, the back marker, did absolutely nothing wrong. He held his ground in the middle of the road because Shane Stoney had already committed to the outside line, but then with Kellett up the inside, there were 3 abreast and 3 into 1 didn't go. Thankfully, Stoney's been able to collect it all together and didn't spin, but it has cost him the race victory. James Kellett, he was applying the pressure anyway. You sensed that the move was coming, but in the end, the traffic made it a lot easier for him. He wins the first race of the weekend for the Pro Tire Motorsport Ginetta GT5 Challenge. Second goes to Shane Stoney. Now third on the road is Conor O'Brien, but he's got this 5-second time penalty to take into account. More drama further back. Oh, that's a spin for car number 55, which gets going again, thankfully, without anybody else collecting. That's Matt Rainbow, who started this race in 6th. He's going to finish it, I think, outside the top 20, so really not been a good race for him at all. But James Kellett, a brilliant race for him. What drama there, right at the death. It all went wrong for Shane Stoney, and you've got to feel for him, but that's racing, and part of racing on such a big field as this is that you have to be able to deal with the traffic, and he dealt with it really well up until that point. We thought that maybe it had played into his hands thus far. Here it is again. You can see there that the number 99 machine had nowhere it could go. So Stoney went to the outside, Kellett went up the inside, and then Stoney tried to turn in there a little bit early and, of course, tried to cover off Kellett. And there was just a bit of contact. Had he not had that contact and lost that momentum, he might have been able to hang around the outside and get the inside into the next left-hander. But as it was, he fell in behind Kellett, and Kellett just stood the car on the anchors at the apex. There was nothing Stoney could do to come back at him. And Shane Stoney had to settle for second place. He won't be happy with that, but that's motor racing. Sometimes things just don't go to plan. Went perfectly to plan, though, for the championship leader James Kellett, who will extend his championship lead now over Shane Stoney, who will still move up ahead of Jerry Nicosia, because Nicosia only finished 10th and they were only a point apart going into this race. So Stoney will move into second. Nicosia will hold on to third, I think, ahead of Alex Toth-Jones, who will be fourth, but only finished 8th in that race. So Alex Toth-Jones will be really looking to try and bounce back in race 2. They do still have another race later on today, of course, so another opportunity for the drivers to try and bounce back maybe from bad results in the first race, or build on positive results from the first race. Here's confirmation of the result. James Kellett and Shane Stoney, who are 1-2 after a dramatic last lap lead change. Scott McKenna came home third ahead of Charlie Digby 4th and Conor O'Brien 5th. Max Bird was 6th ahead of Conor Grady 7th, and Alex Toth-Jones in 8th, with Will Dynel 9th and Jerry Nicosia rounding out the top 10. So a brilliant race then from all involved, and James Kellett with the victory. Sebastian Arenram there was 11th ahead of Carlito Morocco and Morgan Quinn. Then Matt Palmer and Katie Milner. I said she'd made progress, and she did, up to 15th. Matt Maxted and Ashley Marshall are next ahead of Gordon Much and Brett Ward, with Adrian Campbell-Smith rounding out the top 20. And then start to get towards the tail end of the GT5 Challenge grid, and it's Nick Halstead ahead of James Townsend outside the top 20, then Matt Rainbow after his spin, Sammy Saralainen 24th and Gus Bowers 25th, with Josh Hislop, Phil McGarty, Dale Albert, Charlie Martin 29th after her spin, and Peter Digby rounding out the top 30. So a dramatic race there for the Pro Tire Motorsport Ginetta GT5 Challenge. There is Shane Stoney, and he makes his way down onto the pit apron. James Kellett alongside, he was our race winner. And well, commiserations to James Stoney, because he didn't really do much wrong there. Just had he gone to the inside of that back marker instead of the outside, it could have been so different. But that won't be of much consolation to him now, that's for sure. He throws his hands device down with disgust. The team member rather more carefully places it on the car. Shane, along with James Kellett, will wander up to the podium. Scott McKenna, of course, third. Even though Conor O'Brien was third on the road, McKenna inherits that third once O'Brien's time penalty is applied. Here are some highlights then of that 20-minute bash for the Pro Tire Motorsport Ginetta GT5 Challenge. Good start made from pole position by Shane Stoney, and he led the initial race. Side-by-side action all the way through the field. There was Conor O'Brien, who would later be given that 5-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. What a sight they made, though. 50-odd Ginetta G40 cars making their way around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in all of its majesty. A spin, though, unfortunately, for Matt Conscious as he went off into the gravel trap on the first lap. Shane Stoney and James Kellett disputed the race lead throughout the opening part of the encounter. Kellett did look a little bit quicker and was eventually able to find his way through, but not before he had to drive right around the outside through several corners to do it. Further back, Charlie Digby was up the inside of Conor Grady, whilst Richard Evans, having run third early on, was tipped into a spin by Alex Toth-Jones, damaging the rear suspension, putting him out of the race. Charlie Martin had a spin and another car took avoiding action, and the leaders were able to pull a bit of a gap over the rest of the field. It all came to a head on the last lap though, when in traffic Shane Stoney went the wrong side of a back marker, made contact and allowed Kellett through into a lead that he would not relinquish. Race victory for James Kellett, second place for Shane Stoney, and Scott McKenna inheriting third after a time penalty went the way of Conor O'Brien. He will finish in fifth place in the end. Charlie Digby, of course, getting ahead of him as well on corrected tyres into fourth, but that could have been more damaging for Conor O'Brien, actually, that 5-second time penalty, but he'll be ruining that because it could have been an awful lot better. So drivers making their way down into the pit lane. We'll shortly see them making their way onto the podium. I can tell you that in the G40 Cup, it was a race victory for car number 19. That was Tom Golding, Tom Golding, first time. Second place in the G40s was car number 35, which was Robert Keogh, who started on the front row of the grid, and number 98 was third, which was Jack Oliphant, and they will have their own separate podium as well, up there above the Heritage pit lane. So brilliant stuff there. The sun's starting to make an attempt to come through. It was supposed to be a really pleasant day today, mid-20s, bright sunshine. Looking outside, I can see that a few people have braved t-shirts rather than jackets, taking the jackets off as the sun starts to make an appearance. And that is good to see, because the Silverstone circuit looking good as it is, but in summer sunshine it looks even better. There are our top three drivers overall in the waiting behind the podium. Scott McKenna makes his way up onto the third step of the podium. Yes, the third step, Scott, not second. Still good to be on the podium there for him. Shane Stoney second, rather less pleased with his end result, I think. James Kellett will be very happy indeed, and he makes his way out onto the top step of the Silverstone podium. Victory in race one of the weekend for the Protar Motorsport Ginetta GT5 Challenge. Their second race, incidentally, is at about 4:30 later on this afternoon, and will also be live streamed, so make sure you come back for that. Stick around for the whole day's action here at Silverstone, but the Ginetta race, second Ginetta race of the weekend, will round out our live streaming action at the end of the day. So three very, very happy drivers, well, two very happy drivers and one slightly miffed driver, I'd imagine, in the shape of Shane Stoney, who gets interviewed by our circuit commentator here, and he gets the bottle bubbly and the winner's trophy to boot. So brilliant stuff then for our Ginetta GT5s, and we look forward to more of the same entertainment a little bit later on. Brilliant stuff then here at Silverstone. We'll look forward to that race a little bit later on this afternoon. We hope you can join us for what should be another cracking encounter, but for now, from us here at Silverstone, it is goodbye.